Hi, once again, my name is Darryl Kwao. In our first story tonight, the National Petroleum Authority is assuring the general public that the current review of regulations in the petroleum downstream sector would not be inimical to the interests of stakeholders. LPG marketers have kicked against government's resolve to enforce stricter regulations in the petroleum sector to minimize the occurrence of gas explosions in the country. But speaking to Joy Business, the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, Hassan Tampoli, emphasized these new measures would not affect gas supply.
The LPG bottling plants, the not more than 10 stations that I'm talking about, plants that I'm talking about, they are going to do the mass production of the cylinders, and they will supply filled cylinders to LPG distribution companies. So the current LPG stations that you find across the country, like I said before, are going to be the central point of the retail and distribution of the filled cylinders. So wherever you have been filling your cylinder now, you will not fill the cylinder there, but you go and pick a filled cylinder and give them an empty cylinder. I think their fear, is well appreciated, but that is also because they have not understood the policy, and that's probably because they haven't been taking part in some of the meetings that we have invited them to take part in. The supply from the LPG bulk distribution company depot, with a minimum capacity of 4,000 metric tons, to the LPG bottling companies is going to be done by these tanker drivers. Do you understand? They are going to be the ones to do it. And when we fill the cylinders at the LPG bottling plants, it is these same drivers who will be driving different kind of trucks this time around, carrying the filled and empty bottles from the bottling station to the distribution company. And where necessary, they will also be moving them from the distribution company to the suppliers, everywhere that they can get a supplier, depending on the marketing model of the LPG distribution company. They can take it very far if the LPG distribution company is able to secure a supply arrangement for a company, for instance, or for the staff of Joy FM, who will be bringing your cylinders to you in the office here. And so the company, the drivers are supposed to be the ones to bring them here, if it is convenient to do so. Do you understand? So that's how it's going to work.
And while as part of safety measures, Cabinet sanctioned the gas recirculation model, Hassan Tampoli has been explaining how the cylinder recirculation model is going to work.
What's going to happen right now is that when we roll out the policy, we're not going to have more than 10 LPG plants across the country. And in terms of the siting arrangements, they won't be sited in commercial areas. They're going to be sited in industrial areas, more or less isolated. So if the fear is that there's going to be some explosion in the future, then touch wood, if that happens, it's going to be localized at the sites. Residents should not live in apprehension of the fact that there's going to be an explosion next door to me, or maybe I'm driving past an LPG station and then there's an explosion and I get affected. Now that anxiety will be a thing of the past, because it's now going to be more localized in an industrial area, both light and heavy industrial area. And in terms of the discharge at those plants, because they are not many, you're going to have MP officials there, safety officials there. We are going to have Ghana Standards Authority officials at the place. We are going to have EPU officials, fire service officials, officials from the factories inspectorate departments also present. All of them are going to be present when some of this discharge is going to take place. So all the trucks that will be coming in on a real ongoing basis to be discharging are going to be monitored more closely than the officers moving from station to station to monitor 650 LPG distribution stations. Now 10 stations, you agree with me, it's a much more easy number for us to monitor and see at the discharge point than having 650. And that's about 3 times the size of the MPA staff. That's practically impossible. Now that is even without adding the liquid stations, which are also numbering about 3,000. You get the point. Now our fear more and more is with the discharge of the LPG, and we think that as a country we have to aspire to better arrangements across the world, international best practices, and we believe that this is the way to go.
Meanwhile, LPG operators appear to have issues with some of the regulations being introduced. Let's hear next from Kofi Tebiri. He's director of Express Gas, an LPG marketing and distribution company, who says the ad hoc reaction to developments in the downstream sector is affecting investments. He has been speaking to Charles Aite.
What is going on is that if you recall, after the cabinet meeting following the atomic incident, there was a directive from our president that a task force goes around the stations to audit and inspect these stations to ensure that they are actually complying with the existing standards and regulations. But however, it so happened that I think the mode and approach for which this was being done was a challenge with the industry. We kept on getting calls that stations have been shut down for reasons that were not consistent with the standards and regulations. And so I think the association, that's the LPG Marketers Association, and we call them LPG Operators Association, thought it wise to pursue a maintenance schedule, a maintenance plan that would ensure that they are ready and prepared for the auditors who would come by. So that was basically the basis for which the association encouraged and advised its members to apply the existing regulations and standards whilst waiting for or in preparation for the NPA and the auditors that were going to review and inspect the stations in view of the directives by the President of Ghana. Yeah.
All right. But speaking from the viewpoint of an investor in this very sector, of course, we've currently learned that government is considering the recirculation of gas cylinders in this very system, of which we've had LPG marketers express, their reservations. Do you think that this very new move could, shrink, if I could use that term, the penetration of consumers who use LPG in the system?
Well, I think I wouldn't say yes or no. I mean, basically, it's all about a distribution model. And I think the challenge the industry have had has to do with the limited engagement and limited collaboration and discussions about the new model. You can weigh the pros and cons of the new model and the existing model. All of them have their, their benefits and demerits, and put it that way. And so it all has to do with how you look at it. The existing model has the ability to increase penetration depending on how you go about it. And the cylinder recirculation model also has its unique benefits. I think the challenge the players and the operators have is the impact the new cylinder recirculation model would have on their businesses. Whether we like it or not, there would be a certain level of impact, negative impact on their business. Basically, if you look at it broadly, if you look at the directives and the information that has come from the authority, that's the National Petroleum Authority, basically the market segments for the sector will be divided. You would have the auto or the vehicle, and you have the domestic. And so if someone is engaged in both, the new model would make it such that it would be difficult for an operator or a filling station to deal in both, markets. And obviously that will reduce their revenue base, and that would have an impact on their business. And it is this kind of thing that I think the operators and the regulators have to sit down and talk it out and find a way of going around it.
Finally, as an investor, are you concerned over the recent developments in the petroleum sector in relation to gas explosions and the recent back and forth with LPG marketers and governments? Are you concerned as an investor?
Of course. I mean, no investor is happy with uncertainty. I mean, no investor or businessman is happy with any environment of uncertainty. And so that you have to be concerned. If you think about it, if I went to invested in a business, okay, or invested in a company that was, let's say, developing stations, as of now, depending on whatever level they've gotten to, the directive is such that they have to stop. Now, even if they are allowed to proceed, they can't serve the two markets. They would be required to serve only one market. And so there would be some distractions, how do you call it, in my how do you call it, forecast or in my projections as far as the business is concerned. So as an investor, sure, I mean, you are jittery. You want to know what the end result or end game is. And all of us are kind of keen to hear the direction and the focus that this sector will go.
All right, turning attention to some other news we are following for you. The electronic system for business registration was deployed at a cost of $60 million as part of the Ghana e-government project started about 6 years ago. That's according to the Registrar General, Jemima Owari, who says its benefits to the economy far outweigh the cost. The online registration portal launched yesterday is to facilitate business registration and related activities as well as tax administration in the country. It is expected to significantly improve tax revenues for government in the years ahead.
This GGov project cost in all over $60 million, but government paid, the World Bank paid $20 million, and the government paid $40 million. It's a PPP project, and so this is how we've been able to come this far.
Okay. Would it mean that businesses who have no, connection, they have no registrar generals in their communities, could be able to register and get their certificate instantly?
Yes, that's what it means. Exactly that. As long as you have an internet facility and you're able to go through the process the head of IT was saying and get registered as a portal account user, and then you get that process, you have access to all our services. And as long as you go through it end-to-end pay, the processes will be such that you get a notification informing you that your certificate is ready for you to be printed, and you print it.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Ugbami Tete, says the impact of the initiative on the capital market cannot be overemphasized.
In a broad sense, it will inject some positive feeling in the business environment. And as you know, when it comes to the stock market, it's if you like the nerve center of the business environment. So once there is that positive development, it increases how people will perceive operating in the market here is concerned. And I can tell you that those in charge of the securities market, that the Stock Exchange and then the Securities and Exchange Commission will also be looking at how to adopt or implement ICT technologies to make it easy for participation in the securities industry. So this clearly shows that what people think is not possible is possible. So I would say that very soon we'll also be seeing some movement where it comes to digitization in the entire securities industry.
Is it likely to increase transparency and trading in the stock exchange?
Absolutely. You know, when it's easy for people to get access, for instance, to information or data, it makes it quick, or it helps them to make quick decisions. And the ability to access information, to input it in your investment decision process, definitely will impact on the level of activity in the market. So you are basically creating an enabling environment, because this digitization, one of the positive things that it makes quick access to information. And one of the things that drives the market is information. You know, if you can get information, you can make your decisions, and then hopefully your decisions will help you achieve your goal. So in many ways, this is positive, and I think that it's the beginning of a lot of good things to happen, not only when it comes to registration of businesses, but ultimately the entire economy as a whole.
Aviation now, an indigenous airline, Africa World Airlines, has found its way into the International Air Transport Association register. Now, ITA membership is open to airlines operating scheduled and non-scheduled air services that maintain an IATA operational safety audit registration. Here's the head of commercial at Africa World Airlines, Richard Tre, explaining the impact of this development on their business.
To us, it's a big thing, and I will say that now we will be agile to have collaborations with the other carriers, most importantly the international carriers, because no single airline is self-sufficient. And what commercial-wise we pride ourselves with is the fact that now we will be able to have corporations like Interline and Codeshare with other carriers to drive traffic on our offline markets. When I talk about offline market, then basically I'm talking about markets that we do not ply ourselves as AWA. So we will be able to have a cooperation with other carriers in order to feed traffic on these routes.
So as an industry person, what is the relevance of this IOSA certification and IATA membership to the industry as a whole? How does it project Ghana's aviation industry?
You know, this comes in a lot of folds. I'll talk about the industry and also emphasize on Ghana as a whole. For the industry, you know, before one obtains IATA membership, we have another safety certification that an airline goes through, which is called the IOSA. And the IOSA takes you through a set of safety systems and procedures, which, you know, these systems are quite stringent that you follow in order to make sure your safety practices are accurate. You understand? So for the industry, last year, let me let you know that last year, Africa was adjudged accident-free year. Accident-free year, meaning there was no form of accident. What brought this? It's because of these set of standards, this set of systems, stringent systems that we are all abiding to, which caused this. You understand? And this was recorded in ATQ News in Nigeria. So it helps, and it helps make the industry safe, and also passengers have comforts of flying through by air.
We are moving on to some other news. Smallholder women farmers in the country are making a passionate appeal to the government to help remove barriers they encounter in farming-related activities to boost their income levels. Lack of access to credit and irrigation facilities, lack of access to tractor services, and inadequate extension officers, especially women, are hampering their work on the farms. This came to light at the two-day National Smallholder Women Conference organized by ActionAid Ghana in Wa. Here's Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam's report.
Agriculture is the backbone of the country's economy, and about 80% of total agriculture production is attributed to smallholder farmers, including women. Women contribute to about 70% of agriculture production, which includes handling, processing, and marketing. However, they are the most that are confronted with serious constraints, such as limited access to productive resources, such as land, improved seed, credit facilities, and access to market, among others. The National Smallholder Women Farmers Conference was held on the theme Influencing Gender-Responsive Budget for Agriculture, Time to Increase Investment for Smallholder Women Farmers. It brought together representatives of over 100 women groups from the 6 operational regions of ActionAid Ghana. Country Director of ActionAid Ghana, Sumela Abdul Rahman, opening the conference, spoke about key challenges that women farmers go through in farming-related activities and why they need to support them.
We have over 70% of the 51% of the women population in this country involved in agriculture. And so by that, it is fair that when it comes to investments in agriculture, it is important that we look at the role that women do and invest heavily. It's a question of equity and justice.
Participants at the two-day conference call on the government to change the status quo in farming areas to help women farmers in the country. They included inadequate extension offices, especially women, and lack of access to tractor services. Yusuf Hawulutu and Abuya Ernestina are farmers from Bimbala and Nabdam districts.
At times, the men, when you are even free to the extension officer, people may claim that maybe you are a friend to him, and your husband will not be happy. Maybe the day that you are even going to him to come to your farm, maybe your husband will be thinking otherwise. The wife too may be suspecting, maybe this woman is having an affair with my husband. That is why she's always disturbing my husband to come to her farm. So for that matter, we are appealing to government to also add female to extension officers. When it's
All right, so that was Rafiq Salam's report from the Upper West region. Now, herbal sexual stimulants are gaining a lot of traction these days. The sale of these products is becoming a thriving business across the country. Now, one of such markets noted for brisk sale of these aphrodisiacs is the Nima market in Accra. There, dealers are on a daily basis cashing in on the influx of patrons, many of whom believe it boosts sexual potency. Fauziato Adam has our story from the Nima market.
The issue of herbal sexual stimulants is a taboo topic in Ghana today, but its patronage is still high. Today, we are at the Nima market where we have a whole place full of herbal sexual stimulants, and we are going to see how their business day looks like. These herbal sex stimulant dealers do not need any advertisements in the media to be able to sell their product. It's most times by word of mouth and the testimony of people who have used the products before. Some of these dealers I spoke with say the clientele base range from the ordinary class to the affluent in society.
We mix everything in small quantities. We mix them for both men and women. We also mix some to cure stomach problems. This one is asokore, this other one is 20, and this one is aflacho. We mix dankamaru too, and it can be chewed or mixed with a drink or water. We mix all these products to get a concoction. Some people like to chew it and others like it to be mixed. With the dog's penis, some people buy it like this. You can chew it or mix it with a drink. The one with the problem will come and patronize the product. People usually come here to buy these concoctions when they need them. Others go to the hospital, and when they get tired, they come here. They use this place as their last resort. Some people don't even know there is such market. On a very good day, I make 100 cedis and make 50 cedis when the market is not so good.
100 Ghana a day in the business. 50 Ghana and the bar market.
It heals people with waist problems. There are some people, when their women touch their thing, it refuses to stand. When you take a tablespoon of this, God willing, your strength in bed will shoot up and you can give her good orgasm. One costs 30 cedis. There are days when I don't get people to buy the product, but on a very good day, I make like 100 cedis, and on a bad day, I don't make up to 50 cedis. There are different types of sexual problems. I can even help with fertility if you need help to make children. One dose of my concoction can even give you twins. If a man drinks my concoctions, his woman will be happy and even call me to attest to it. My trade name is You Will Enjoy, and I can guarantee very good performance in bed even though my medicine is affordable. That's why people call it See and Look Down on It.
I also spoke with some users of these herbal sex stimulants, and they shared the extent to which they would go to patronize the products.
There's no side effect in it, but when I started taking it, I keep long during banging more than the time that I'm not taking it. So I think it helped me a lot. Only thing is, it's a dry this thing, tree. So you just pour pure water, 2 sachets of pure water in the bottle.
It's very affordable. I purchased it on 5 CD, 7 CD, yeah, if more of 7 CD, but 5 CD is okay. Most of the times at the market or maybe during this naming ceremony or marriage ceremony, they come and advertise themselves and I do purchase some. For now, to be sure of myself, I know I've purchased 3 or more of them. So 5 plus 4 or times 4, I've purchased like 20 CD or so like this. It has a very good effect on me because it helped me get nice erection and better ejaculation. I've taken probably 2 or 3 medicines, Chacha Waste and Mamachi Heba. Yeah, they are good.
There is no effect on it, and well, since I started using it, so far so good. I've used it like 3 times and it's all good. Although it's bitter, but when you drink it, you have a good work with it. 40 CDs and above, 40, 50 CDs. I always get good compliments from them.
Obviously, the thriving herbal sex stimulant business will continue to grow as long as the desire by both men and women to satisfy their partners persists. Especially so when the stress of life and the workplace complexities continue to dominate contemporary lifestyles. For Joy Business, Fauzia to Adam reporting.
That was interesting insight into the aphrodisiac market. The great reporting from Fauzia to Adam. Moving on to our interview of the day tonight, and marketing and communications analyst Kobe Mensah is proposing counseling for staff of Tigo and Airtel who might be affected by the merger of the 2 telecom companies. According to him, some workers of the 2 entities would be laid off as a result of the merger, making such a program important.
Interview of the day.
I'm sure that they know where they stand, and I'm sure that a lot of people psychologically are prepared, on their next move. If not psychologically, even physically, people have actually been, targeting where they want to move or if they're going to be moved forcefully, where they go in their next line of action. So that's quite different, and I think that should be the process, for any, employee or for any customer, who is with an entity. If an entity is going to be taken over, consumers, as well as employees and other stakeholders must be somehow in the know. If they're not in the know, there must be, some procedures to kind of reduce the impact of panic or to reduce the uncertainty that actually swirl around them, in times of this.
So you think staff of Airtel Tigo needs to go through some counseling session or seminar?
Of course, and I'm sure the HR guys will tell you they need some kind of preparation, they need some kind of, I remember I went through.
Interview of the day.
Right, thanks for watching our program tonight. My name is Daryl Kwa. We'll be back same time next week, but keep up to date on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. I'll see you next week.